In a hidden corner deep within the Vatican, Sergeant Moretti, a steadfast Swiss guard, stands watch over the enigmatic Black Chapel. This forbidding chamber conceals mysteries shrouded in unsettling whispers and strange happenings that unfold under the cloak of night. The pounding on a chapel door grows more urgent. I stand unmoving, halberd firmly in hand, as Cardinal Toretti's fists strike the ancient black oak with relentless force, as if attempting to rouse the dead themselves. His crimson robes are disheveled, his face flushed, an unsettling mix of fury and desperation. "Open this door at once," he demands. I'm a prince of a church. I command entry. I remain silent, unwavering. These are the rules. Cardinal Toretti whirls to face me. "Sergeant Moretti, I am giving you a direct order. Stand aside. 6 years, I've guarded the Black Chapel. In that time, 3 popes have passed away, 4 cardinals have demanded entry, and 1 Swiss guard paid with his life for breaking protocol. I know the consequences of defiance. I cannot disregard the rules. Your Eminence cannot, or will not, do both," I say steadily. His face flushes deeper, turning almost purple. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes, Your Eminence." "Do you understand my authority within these walls?" "Yes, Your Eminence." "Then why do you defy me?" His towering form steps closer, a man large and imposing, with hand that could snap a neck. But here, in front of the chapel, he dares not act. "My nephew is dying," he whispers. "The doctors say he has hours left. 8 years old." I say nothing. They say miracles lie beyond that door, relics that could save him. Still, I remain silent. "Please." The word lingers between us, guard and cardinal. Cardinals do not plead. We are servants decked in ceremonial garb. Yet here in the Black Chapel, such bounds blur. "I'm sorry for your loss, Your Eminence, but he is not dead yet, and one day he will be." Cardinal Toretti stares into my resolute expression, then slowly turns away, his footsteps fading down the stone corridor. I listen until every echo dies. I have stood here for 14 hours, weary but steadfast. Movement invites questions. Questions breach rules. My vigil continues. The Black Chapel remains locked, and I alone stand guard. For 6 years, I have stood sentinel before the Black Chapel, absorbing its somber history and the eerie atmosphere that clings to this place. My predecessor, Santos, guarded this door for over 2 decades, a man who shared tales that still haunt my thoughts. He spoke of the relentless sounds, the whispers that begin at dusk, the morning cries that echo through the night, and the unsettling laughter that greets the dawn. These aren't mere noises. They are the chapel's language, a constant reminder of its dark secrets. The Black Chapel itself is a fortress of ancient black oak, its door towering and unyielding, sealed tight against the unknown. No one has seen inside for centuries, nor do they dare to. The very air here is thick with a weight that presses against the mind, a silent testament to the countless souls bound to this place. Guards before me have fallen victim to curiosity. Some never returned. Others lost their sanity. These stories bind me, reinforcing the unspoken truth that this chapel is more than a room. It is a crypt of forgotten lives and unresolved mysteries. Each night, as the shadows deepen, I listen intently, not just to protect the secrets within, but to understand the whispered history that refuses to fade. As dusk draws near, the familiar sounds from the Black Chapel begin to emerge, pressing heavily on my mind. The whispers start softly, like distant voices discussing matters of great importance. Indistinct yet persistent, they last precisely 47 minutes, a ritualistic duration I've counted countless times during my 6 years at this post. Then comes a silence. 13 minutes of complete stillness that feels almost more unsettling than the noise itself. Following this, the chapel fills with sorrowful cries, a chorus of anguished voices mourning losses, both ancient and eternal, continuing until the early hours of the morning. Finally, as dawn approaches, haunting laughter breaks the silence, a chilling sound that feels calculating and unnatural, unlike anything human. These sounds are the chapel's nightly patterns, a constant reminder of the mysteries and the restless spirits contained behind the black oak door. Father Benedetti appears at the far end of the corridor, carrying a thick folder and walking with the determined stride of someone who believes they have uncovered an important secret. I have been standing guard for 3 hours, anticipating the whispers to begin any moment, but instead, here comes a priest convinced he has solved a 7th-century-old mystery. Sergeant Moretti, Father Benedetti calls out, "I need to speak with you." "I'm on duty, Father," I respond. "This is urgent. It's about the man who built this chapel." Just then, the whispers start, soft voices emerging from inside the chapel, starting their nightly ritual. Father Benedetti pauses, his face paling. "Do you hear that?" he asks urgently. "Hear what?" I reply without diverting my gaze. Father Benedetti opens his folder and pulls out a document inscribed in medieval Latin. I found the original construction contract. It specifies that the workers were sealed within their creation to ensure eternal service. I don't read Latin. That means they were buried alive inside the chapel. 47 men killed to keep the chapel's secrets, he states. Taking another step closer, he adds, "Those are their voices, aren't they? They're still in there." The whispers grow louder, overlapping conversations filling the air. Father Benedetti is right on one count. I've spent 6 years counting voices, and there are definitely 47 distinct ones. "Father, you need to leave. I can help them. I could perform last rites, give them a proper burial. They've been trapped for centuries." "They're not trapped. They're contained." Father Benedetti fixes me with a steady gaze. "You know what's inside. I know enough to follow the rules. What if the rules are wrong? What if keeping that door locked is perpetuating a great injustice? That's someone else's decision to make." I stand firm, undeterred. Father Benedetti pulls out another document, a series of diagrams and technical drawings. I found the chapel's original blueprints in the Venetian archives. "Look at this." He presses a drawing into view. The chapel's interior layout, bigger than I imagined, with multiple levels and passages. What captures my attention are the small chambers built into the walls. 47 in total, each inscribed with a name and death date from 1347. They're buried in the walls. Father Benedetti explains. The construction crew was walled up alive to power whatever ritual created this place. Their souls are bound to the chapel. That's not my concern. How can you say that? Those are human souls suffering eternal torment. At that moment, the whispers cease completely, a silence that never happens during the first phase. Father Benedetti and I both stare at the door. Then a clear, distinct voice emerges from inside. "Let us out." Father Benedetti drops his folder in shock. "They can hear us." "Father, you need to leave now. They're asking for help." "How can I ignore that?" he asks. "Please, we've been waiting." The voice pleads again. Slowly, Father Benedetti steps toward the door. "I'm going to help them," he declares. I'm moved between him and the chapel. "No, you're not. Get out of my way, Sergeant." "I cannot do that." Reaching into his robes, Father Benedetti pulls out a key. Not the chapel key I carry, but an older one, black metal etched with strange symbols. "Where did you get that?" I demand. "The Venetian archives. It's the original master key created when the chapel was built." "Father, do not use that key. We have the authority and a moral obligation to help them." From inside, the voice cries again, "Hurry, before the others awaken." Others besides the 47 voices. I twist his wrist, making him drop the key. It strikes the floor, ringing sharply down the corridor. "You're making a mistake," Father Benedetti gasps. "Those souls need help. They aren't souls anymore, Father. The chapel door shudders violently as something inside pushes against it, testing the iron-reinforced lock. "Let out. We know you can hear us. We know you have a key." Father Benedetti tries to snatch the key again. I tackle him, and we crash to the floor, papers scattering around us like remnants of a historical crime scene. "You don't understand," he pleads. "I've been researching this for months. The chapel was built to contain something ancient and dangerous. The construction crew wasn't killed to keep secrets. They were sacrificed to create a barrier." The door shudders again, stronger this time. "Then why are you trying to break the barrier?" I ask, because the barrier is made of human souls in torment. The chapel feeds on their suffering. If we free them, the containment will fail, and whatever lies inside will be unleashed. That's a risk we can't take. I pin Father Benedetti to the floor and reach for my radio. "Command, this is Sergeant Moretti. I need immediate backup at the Black Chapel." "Copy that, Sergeant. En route." The voice inside changes, deeper, more resonant. "You should listen to him." Father Benedetti quiets, realizing the gravity of the situation. "That's not one of the construction workers." "No, it's not. It is the reason for the rules." The door stops shaking, but the silence that follows is ominous. The quiet before an ancient and calculating force prepares to act. "Father, I need you to understand. The construction workers weren't sacrificed to build the barrier. They were sacrificed to strengthen one that was already failing. Whatever's inside has been here long before 1347. "How do you know?" "Because I've been listening for 6 years. The whispers are the construction workers, warning others to stay away. The crying are the souls of those who died, trying to contain it. And the laughing. What about the laughing? The laughing is the thing they died to contain. It's amused by our attempts to understand it, and it's laughing at you. 6 years ago, I took over the watch from a man named Santos, who had stood guard at the Black Chapel for 23 years. What I learned about him was unsettling. Santos didn't simply retire. In fact, no record of his retirement exists. The personnel office insists he never existed. The truth is darker. He broke Rule 2. On a Tuesday night, 3 months before my assignment, Santos succumbed to the voices from within the chapel. As strange as it sounds, the chapel calls to those who guard it. Whispers, cries, and laughter. But sometimes it speaks directly, naming the guard and beckoning them. For Santos, it was the voice of his daughter, Maria, lost in a car accident 15 years earlier. The voice pleaded to bring him home, to open the door he had sworn never to open. Despite knowing the dangers and the rules, the relentless calls wore him down over a week. Eventually, he opened the door. They found him 3 hours later, standing frozen at the threshold, tears streaming down his face, incapable of speech or movement. Hours later, at dawn, he was executed without ceremony. 1 gunshot in the courtyard behind St. Peter's. No last words, no farewell, only silence and the heavy weight of forbidden knowledge. His death was a grim warning, and I was handed his keys and a list of rules with no further guidance. The weight of his fate lingers still whenever I hold that ancient key in my pocket, a constant reminder of the path I must never cross. As the hours stretch on, I grapple with the relentless pressure of my endless shifts standing guard. 16 hours of unwavering vigilance. 16 hours of facing the chapel's mysterious presence without pause. The burden is heavy, every part of me aching with fatigue, yet I dare not move unless relieved. Movement invites questions. Questions imply broken rules, and broken rules invite consequences I'm not willing to face. Throughout the day, the chapel lies silent, but as night descends, the familiar pattern unfolds without fail. Whispering voices arise, weaving through the shadows. The first notes of an otherworldly chorus that I have grown strangely accustomed to. The whispers persist for exactly 47 minutes. Then a haunting silence of 13 minutes follows, like the calm before storm. Then the crying begins, soft sobs that swell into a heart-wrenching lament carried by countless unseen mourners trapped within. Their grief seeps out beyond the confines of the chamber, filling the air, saturating the corridor. It is an agony so profound it gnaws at one's resolve, and still I stand firm. During these rare moments, when silence returns between the phases of sorrow and laughter, I find fleeting seconds to collect my thoughts, to pretend for a moment that I am still part of the normal world. But the chapel's relentless symphony always resumes, reminding me that normalcy has long since slipped away. My mind drifts to small fragments of life outside this duty, memories of the city waking up, the chatter of street vendors, the simple taste of a warm cup of coffee. Yet, these faint recollections only emphasize the reality that I am tethered here, bound by rules as old and unyielding as the black oak door I guard. It is in this relentless routine that I forge an uneasy companionship with the chapel's noises and the solitude they breed, a rhythm both tormenting and familiar that anchors me to this post, night after night. Father Benedetti's presence breaks the usual stillness of the corridor as he appears at sunset, clutching a thick folder and moving with the resolve of someone who believes they've uncovered a long-hidden truth. I've been on guard for hours, expecting the nightly whispers to start, but instead, I'm faced with a priest who insists he has solved a centuries-old mystery. Sergeant Moretti, Father Benedetti calls out urgently, "I need to speak with you. I'm on duty." I reply firmly, "This is important. It concerns the man who built the chapel." The familiar whispers begin, faint conversations threading through the silence, growing steadily in the air. Father Benedetti halts, his face pale, as he listens. "Do you hear that? Hear what?" He opens his folder, revealing documents inscribed in medieval Latin. I found the original construction contract. It states the workers were sealed within the chapel to ensure eternal service. The implication hits hard. They were buried alive inside these walls. Father Benedetti steps closer. Those voices, you hear them, they're the workers, still trapped inside. The whispers intensify, overlapping conversations filling the air. There are definitely 47 distinct voices. I've counted them over the years. "Father, you need to leave. I can help them. Perform last rites. Bring them peace after centuries of torment." They're not trapped. They're contained. Father Benedetti's eyes search mine, seeking understanding. "You know more than you say. What if the rules are wrong? What if keeping the door locked is an injustice?" That decision isn't mine. He produces another document, this one dotted with detailed diagrams and intricate blueprints. "I found the original plans in the Venetian archives," he explains. "Look here, 47 chambers within the walls, each bearing a name and a date from 1347. They're walled and alive," he adds grimly, "to power the ritual that created the chapel. Their souls bound in eternal service." My grip tightens on my halberd. "That's not my concern." "How can you say that? They're human souls suffering endless torment." Suddenly, the whispers cease. A silence so absolute it presses down on us both. Then a single clear voice calls out, "Let us out." Father Benedetti drops the documents in shock. "They can't hear us," he says. "We need to leave now." I warn. "They're asking for help. How can I ignore them? Please, we've been waiting." He steps forward, determined to act. I block his path. "No, you're not opening that door. Get out of my way, Sergeant." Suddenly, he draws a key from his robes, distinct from the one I carry. This one is made of black metal, engraved with mysterious symbols. "Where'd you get that?" I ask. "Venetian archives. The original master key. Don't use it. They've been trapped for centuries. I have a duty to free them." From inside, the door shudders violently, locks tested by a force pressing to break free. "Let us out," the voice pleads. "We know you have a key." Father Benedetti lunges for the lock, but I grasp his wrist and force the key from his hand. which clatters to the floor. "You don't understand," he gasps. "The chapel was built to contain something dangerous. The workers weren't sacrificed to keep secrets. They were sacrifices to create a barrier." The door shudders again, harder this time. Then I ask, "Why are you trying to break it?" "Because the barrier feeds on their suffering. If we free them, the whole thing collapses. That's a risk we can't take." I pin him down and reach for my radio. "Command, this is Sergeant Moretti. Backup needed at the Black Chapel." The voice inside deepens, resonant and chilling. You should listen to him. Father Benedetti falls quiet, understanding dawning. "That's not one of the workers." "No," I say. "It's the reason for the rules." The door quiets, but the stillness is tense, as if whatever lurks inside has ceased its assault and is now poised for what comes next. I look at Father Benedetti and insist. The workers didn't create this barrier. They reinforced a failing one. I've listened for 6 years. The whispers are warnings from them. The crying is from those who've died containing it. And the laughter. "What about the laughter?" he asks fearfully. "It's the entity itself. Ancient, patient, and mocking our attempts to control it." Father Benedetti pales, realizing the stakes. "If you open that door, you'll break Rule 1, and we'll both pay the price." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Black Chapel's usual chorus of whispers began to swell, filling the ancient corridor with indistinct voices. Suddenly, Father Benedetti reappeared, eyes alight with conviction, clutching a worn, black metal key etched with unfamiliar symbols. His discovery of the chapel's original blueprints and documents had led him to believe the souls of the sealed construction workers deserved release, that the chapel's containment was a grave injustice. I stepped forward, placing myself between him and the forbidding door. "You can't do this," I warned, voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "The rules exist for a reason. Opening that door could unleash something far worse than you imagine." But Benedetti pressed on, the key gleaming in his hand as he reached for the lock. Desperation fueled his movements, but I was faster. I seized his wrist and twisted it until the key clattered to the floor. The door vibrated ominously under invisible pressure as an eerie voice seeped through the cracks. "Let us out. We know you have the key." The air grew thick with a palpable menace, the iron reinforcements groaning under the unseen force. Benedetti struggled and lunged for the key, but I tackled him, sending papers and blueprints scattering like silent witnesses across the floor. He gasped, struggling beneath me, their souls trapped in torment, starving for release. I held him down, fighting against the chilling truth he was uncovering. "They're not victims," I said, "but the guardians maintaining this barrier. Freeing them would shatter the delicate containment, releasing the horrors sealed within." The voice from inside the chapel deepened, no longer pleading but mocking. Benedetti's resolve faltered as the oppressive presence made itself known, an ancient, malevolent entity that had twisted reality and perception over centuries. It toyed with us, feeding off our doubts and desperation. Desperation turned to danger as I radioed for immediate backup, knowing full well that any misstep could unravel centuries of vigilant containment. The threat within the Black Chapel was more than mere whispers and shadows. It was a calculating force waiting for release, laughing at the folly of those who sought to uncover its dark secrets. Commander Reyes arrives quietly, his presence commanding yet measured as he steps into the dimly lit corridor. He surveys the scattered medieval documents and the fallen key with a practiced eye. With a grave tone, he recounts the history layered around the Black Chapel, how curiosity and desperation have repeatedly threatened a fragile seal for centuries. He reveals the true nature of the enigmatic force bound within, an ancient entity capable of warping perception, preying on the curious, and relentlessly testing the resolve of those tasked with its containment. He explains that this entity isn't merely a relic of superstition, but the reason why the Vatican itself stands upon this very ground, built not just as a holy site, but as a fortress safeguarding humanity from the unknown. Commander Reyes emphasizes the endless vigilance required, highlighting the sacrifices made by prior guards whose minds fractured under the chapel's psychological weight. His insight is a sobering reminder that guarding the Black Chapel is not only about enforcing rules. It's about confronting a darkness that defies understanding and maintaining a boundary that, if crossed, could unravel the fabric of the world itself. The relentless weight of my duty gnaws at the edges of my sanity. 6 years guarding that sealed black door, immersed in the incessant cycle of whispers, sorrowful crying, and, most unbearably, the eerie laughter, it all chips away at who I once was. The sounds that spill from within have seeped into every corner of my mind, blurring the lines between reality and the unknown. I find myself momentarily drifting, haunted by memories of a life left behind. A simple apartment in Rome, fleeting moments with Elena, laughter that once was genuine. Those fragments feel like distant echoes now, overshadowed by the unyielding presence of the chapel. The weight of the halberd in my hands is a constant reminder of this fraying existence, a tether to my duty, but also a symbol of isolation. At times, I question if I truly grasp the full extent of what lies beyond the door. Am I guarding against a tangible evil, or merely a creeping madness that preys on isolation and curiosity? The subtle shift of shadows, the faintest change in the harmonies of sorrow and mirth, they unsettle me deeper than any physical threat. Yet, despite the gnawing doubt and the silent torment, the rules are clear, as are my orders. Each night, as the chapel's haunting chorus begins anew, I steel my resolve. My mind may fray at the edges, but my commitment to this sacred, unseen battle remains unwavering. This role demands everything I am, my vigilance, my strength, and a sacrifice of my own peace of mind. For 6 long years, I have stood sentinel before the Black Chapel, a figure fixed amid whispers, cries, and laughter that defy comprehension. Commander Reyes's words echo in my mind. The job will eventually consume everything. Relationships, dreams, every fragment of a life once imagined outside these stone walls. I've witnessed what happened to those before me, the predecessors who succumbed to loneliness or curiosity, losing themselves to the chapel's haunting grip. Yet, as the voices rise and fall in their eerie, cyclical patterns, I find a clarity that few understand. These sounds are not merely torment. They're the toll of guardians past, souls bound by choice to contain a darkness older than faith itself. Though the weight of this duty presses on me, I accept it with solemn resolve. The sacrifices etched in silence and shadow belong to something greater than any single life. It is a burden I bear not out of ignorance, but out of understanding. The understanding that some doors must never be opened, and some secrets must remain locked away for the sake of the world beyond. Adjusting my grip on halberd, I stand steady, embracing the sacrifice that guards the boundary between normalcy and the unfathomable. Here, where the black oak door looms immovable, I remain, the steadfast custodian of the chapel's eternal and chilling secret. As Sergeant Moretti remains steadfast at his post, he understands the immense responsibility resting on his shoulders. His duty is not merely to guard a door, but to uphold the solemn secrets of the Black Chapel and protect the world from the darkness that lies within. The sacrifices of those who came before him echo in the whispers, cries, and laughter that fill the chamber, reminding him that this eternal vigilance is pivotal in keeping the shadows at bay. Though the burden is heavy, Moretti embraces his role, knowing that some doors must remain closed and some truths forever guarded. If you found this story compelling, consider hitting that subscribe button, liking, sharing, and leaving comment.